So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of Talking Diaries, where Nehru World School of Ghaziabad, in collaboration with the Passport Office Ghaziabad, under the aegis of Ministry of External Affairs, is going to present a discussion on nation building since independence. Where has India reached since independence? What were we before independence? And have we progressed? Have we done something new and interesting for ourselves? Have we progressed? I've got four brilliant students from Nehru World School from grade 11. I've got Dhanya, I've got Parisha, Ananya, and Navyya who are going to talk to me about different aspects of nation building, and we will share our knowledge with you. They have been doing their research from several weeks now, trying to gather information. So let's say where we are. But before I get into that, whenever we talk about nation, the first step or the entry to that nation or to the entry to the nation building, the concept of nation building comes through education. Education is foundation of everything. Weak education would mean that the entire system, be it a small industrial setup or be it the entire nation, it will collapse. So I want to start my discussion from the aspect of education, for which I have with me Ananya Arora, who is going to tell me whether we have done any progress in the field of education or not. And Ananya, before coming to you, let me just point out one thing. We have always been saying that India had best education in the world in the ancient times. We had the best of the universities, we had best of the content as far as literature is concerned. Yes, we have the oldest book, we had the oldest systems of medicine and everything, but something happened in between, a lot of turmoil, and then we went on to a decline. And when the British left, the education system within India was not at, you know, uh, even at par with many other nations in the Europe and a couple of other countries. So as of today, where do we stand, and what progress have we done on our own since independence? Ananya, over to you. Just unmute and share.
Yes, sir, I completely agree with you. India was nowhere in the aspect of education before, while the British ruled us. Uh, in 1947, India merely had 400 schools, 19 universities with a little over 5,000 students. And as present, India boasts 1.5 million plus schools, 751 universities, and 35,000 plus colleges. The Indian education system has evolved phenomenally since independence, and this has only been made possible by the several steps taken by the government over these past few years, which include in 1995, the midday meal scheme was implemented in government schools. It was first started in Tamil Nadu, and its main objective was to provide a hot cooked meal to the students. This helped in improving the nutritional status of the children and also encouraged the poor children and those belonging to disadvantaged groups to attend school more regularly. The Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan of 2001, as the name suggests, सर्व शिक्षा सभी को शिक्षा प्राप्त करने का अभियान. It aimed at the universalization of education, and the national program for education of girls at elementary level too has been conceived as an amendment to the scheme of Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. Uh, this has been made to provide additional components for the education of girls at elementary level. Also, on 4th of August 2009, the RTE, or the Right to Education Act, came into effect. This act made education a fundamental right, a basic right for every child, and it made education compulsory for all. With this act, India also became one of the 135 countries to have made education a fundamental right. Also, a campaign launched by the Indian government in 2015, Beti Bachao Beti Padhao, as the name suggests, It focuses on challenging the mindsets of the deep-rooted patriarchy in the societal system and has created awareness and helped increase the sex ratio and generate literacy among girls. Nowadays, also subjects like history, poetry, theatre, music, arts, and literature are taught. Also, vocational courses are being taught in schools, which allow students to gain practical experience in their chosen career path before they even graduate. When the British rule ended in India in the year 1947, the literacy rate was just 12%. However, with schemes such as these, we are now a part of a country where 77 people out of every 100 people are now literate. With the spread of education, awareness spread, लोगों में जागरूकता बढ़ी and the sense of right and wrong developed. तो जब लोगों को पता चला कि क्या सही है और क्या गलत है, तो they began to question the wrong they had been made to believe without blinking since childhood. New ideas like gender equality, girl education, and spread, and ill practices like the caste system, the sati system, dowry, the patriarchal system were now questioned by many people, which then led to their abolition. There's this saying that once an idea comes into being, it cannot be stopped and it spreads like wildfire. These new ideas completely changed the world people lived and perceived the world. Now, individuals came to be perceived based on their merit and not on their social status. And India shifted from being a nepotistic state to a meritocratic one. In other words, the power did not rest in the hands of the rich, but instead in the hands of the educated and deserving people. हिंदी में एक कहावत है, आई गेस ये हम सभी ने सुनी होगी, राजा का बेटा राजा नहीं बनेगा, वो बनेगा जो हकदार होगा. अब like it's not a uh, cycle of rich people coming into power. Now the deserving and the well-educated people, the power rests on in the hands of the deserving and well-educated people. Therefore, education is an important aspect that has led to social, economic, political, and cultural equality in Indian society. Thank you.
वेरी वेल सेड. आई थिंक आपने काफी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स बताए. कुछ एक एस्पेक्ट्स ऐसे जो मुझे भी नहीं पता थे. Since we have already crossed the mark of 70% literacy rate, that's a big achievement, because in a country like India where we have such huge population, bringing everybody into the fold of education is not an easy task. And I also understand that large majority of our population, which is now above the age of 50 or 60, and in their days they were not able to get proper education, and perhaps we do not call them literate or educated as of today, in today's term, the way we measure them. So maybe that is also affecting our literacy rate, and in coming few decades, when we will have our entire generation which has come through this right to education act, and who, the education, the generation that is getting education in this era, once this generation grows up, I think we will be reaching, if not 100, then above 90% literacy rate, which is quite a good thing. Well-read, well-educated mind can definitely take this country forward. We need engineers, we need doctors, we need scientists, we need people who can think beyond and make our life better. Now, talking of doctors, healthcare is another important aspect. We are going through a tough time. This whole COVID thing, it is still not completely gone, and while the third wave is still hanging over our head like a sharp blade, we have seen that how during the first and second wave, people suffered. They had to stand up in queues, long queues for oxygen. Hospital beds were not available, and many of us lost our near and dear ones. It was a nightmare for most of us. Even today, our education system is badly crumbled. There is a whole generation of children who has never seen school, and they have already cross two classes, maybe kindergarten, nursery, they went in, but after that, when the lockdown started, for 2 years, they have been sitting home and they have, in a way, lost the whole concept of sitting in a classroom and studying, and their entire life is going to get affected because of this. Could we have done better? Do we require a better healthcare infrastructure, better facilities? My personal feeling or my personal thought is that a lot could have been done, but perhaps we are not there yet. So I have Navya with me who's going to talk about healthcare, where we are, what we did since 1947, and this is 2022 now, how we have progressed. Now, Navya, over to you.
Yes, sir. We all have seen people die due to lack of oxygen cylinders and medicines. At the same time, are saved from Omicron, third wave, and many harmful diseases like bird flu, malaria, and now we have the vaccine. Otherwise, many people could have died due to it. Sir, I agree. There was a very small phase where we had to suffer, but thanks to the development that we have done in medical field, that phase was not longer than a month. It could have been months or, God forbid, years. You all should know about the vaccines that India is mass producing or has approved. India has now approved 8 vaccines, 3 of which have been developed in India. Covishield, as you know, is manufactured by Serum Institute of India. AstraZeneca is manufactured by AstraZeneca. Covaxin is a vaccine by Bharat Biotech, which was developed in collaboration with the Indian Council of Medical Research. Till date, I yesterday only looked up and I found 1 billion doses are done and more are getting every day. Been done, like whether it's adults, children, fully vaccinated people in India right now, 415 crore, and percentage of population fully vaccinated is 53.2%. So as you can see, how much progress that India has made after also having such a big population. As I mentioned, do you know Serum Institute of India is now the world's largest vaccine manufacturer by the number of doses produced and sold globally. It produces more than 1.5 billion doses. It is also estimated that 65% of the children in the world receive at least one vaccine manufactured by Serum Institute. Vaccines that are manufactured by Serum Institute are accredited by WHO, World Health Organization, Geneva, and are being used in around 170 countries across the globe in the national immunization programs, saving millions lives throughout the world. Do you know average person's monthly salary was just 1500 rupees in the year 1947. So people could not spend a lot of money on medical treatment, medicines, and also the yearly average inflation from the year 1948 2011 till 2011 was 6.76%. So Serum Institute, which was established in 1966, played a key role in medicine price reduction. Serum has not only done this research, but there are nearly 1.1 lakh or more than that medical labs in this country, and whose reports determine over 70% of the medical decisions. Talented workforce is needed for all these researches, and for that an act of parliament was passed as institutes of national importance. AIMS New Delhi, yes, we all know that name. The first institute that was established in 1956. Since then 22 more institutes were announced. As of January 2020, 15 institutes are operating and 8 more are expected to become operational. Until 2025, proposals were made for 6 more aims. The medical science here is highly advanced, which is the reason why AIMS as a hospital witnesses so many patients from different corners of the world. It is globally renowned and recognized for its technology driven approach. And also, India led the world in eradicating 2 massive pandemics, smallpox and polio. So, India has a tremendous capacity. I'm pretty sure that India will be also the one which will lead the world in eradicating this COVID 19 pandemic. As you can witness, the number of vaccine campaigns that are organized by the government, and it is such a mammoth task to vaccine a country with second largest population of more than 1400 million people. You all will be keen to know that India has eradicated six major diseases which were either related to humans or animals. Diseases like malaria. Malaria include fever, flu-like illness. Malaria vaccine, Mosirix, was developed by Bharat Biotechs, which will initially go to African countries, and the tech transfer has already begun. At present, there are several candidates in the works with Serum Institute of India, Bharat Biotech, Zydus Cadila, all working on either developing or manufacturing anti-malarial vaccines. One more disease like maternal tetanus is generally a tetanus infection of the newborn baby. India was declared free of maternal and neonatal tetanus on 15th May 2015, and the government of India in 1983 introduced at least two doses of tetanus toxoid vaccine to all the pregnant women during each pregnancy as a part of its world nationwide immunization program. Smallpox is a disease which can cause a severe rash all over the body and can leave scars, and death can also occur in most, like 30% of the people who are infected with this will die. In 1802 onwards, smallpox vaccination was started, and in the year 1977, India was declared smallpox free. India started the National Smallpox Eradication Program in 1962 with a target of vaccinating the entire population in the next 3 years. Leading to this, polio. Polio is a viral disease which affects the spinal cord, causing muscle weakness and paralysis. In 1995, following the Global Polio Eradication Initiative by WHO, which was launched in 1988, India launched Pulse Polio Immunization Program with Universal Immunization Program, which aimed 100% coverage. The last reported case of wild polio in India were in West Bengal and Gujarat on 13 January 2011. From the year 1988 to 2011, in just 24 years, we were able to eradicate it fully from our whole country. Our population at that time was 125 crore. Imagine that many amount of people were free from polio. A big achievement for India. Yours is a chronic bacterial infection which mainly affects the skin and bones and is disfiguring, disabling non-venereal infection. Yours eradication program was launched in 1966 in Koraput, district of Orissa. An injection of penicillin is the drug of choice that was given. On 19 September 2006, Health Minister formally declared yours elimination from the country. The last and final sixth major disease was rinderpest, one of the deadliest animal diseases. It is caused by acute viral infection which affects the intestinal tract, and it affects sheep, goats, pigs, wild buffaloes, and blue bulls. A national rinderpest eradication program was launched in 1955 in which cattle and buffaloes older than 6 months were vaccinated with goat tissue virus vaccine, developed also in India, a big achievement. So India got its rinderpest free status from November 1, 2004. India is finally free from dreaded rinderpest infection of livestock thanks to all the efforts over half century. So, sir, I hope you are convinced by my facts about Indian medical care. You may say we are not perfect, but seeing the population, we can say we have done remarkable development. Thank you.
Uh, well, I can agree to that. That given the population, what we have done is remarkable because to vaccinate such a big country and not just a country. I mean, the way India is spread, we are not just big cities. We also have smaller towns and villages, and there are a few villages in India where it's very difficult even to reach in the hill areas and the remote, there are several remote areas, even in the plains at some places. But vaccine and education both have reached there. Yes, we were able to bring a stability, and we were able to overcome the pandemic much faster than many other countries. When you compare even to some of the European countries, we have been watching the news. So, yeah, Navya, I think I agree to you, agree with you on this aspect at least. Okay, anyways, moving forward. Healthcare, education are two very important aspects. We just discussed about them. There is another important aspect. So once you are well educated, once you are healthy, well fed, uh, another problem is that you need a stable economy. You need jobs. You need well settled industry, because if you are going to import everything from abroad, then everything will be so costly and the people will not be able to afford it. So we need everything in house. And how our whole economy has been developed since independence, what did we do? For this, I have Parisha with me, who's going to talk about the economic development, economic growth since 1947. Parisha, over to you.
Yes, hello. So basically, economic growth is, I agree, a very big factor for a country's development. And as Navya and Ananya right now told us about the health and education, I would like to move forward with the economic growth. So, sir, first of all, I'd like to say that 1947 was not just a year of independence. Rather, it was the year which marked great changes in our country. Basically, it was the outset of great economic policies and even everything. So, sir, this basically 1947 was a year in which, since which our India, our country, has been seeing so many ups and downs. We have seen that the Britishers colonized us, but we all know that basically they thought that we were too dumb to modernize ourselves. But, sir, however, India is now among the biggest economies of the world, and truth be told, we haven't reached our full potential yet. So basically, it wasn't actually possible for us to reach where we are standing today. It was because we had great leaders who carried out great policies, great resolutions. So one of those policies was the Industrial Policy Resolution of 1948. So we all know Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. He was such a great leader. So this policy, the Industrial Policy Resolution, this was basically carried out by Mr. Nehru, and he proposed a mixed economy in this. So through this policy, we basically see that it was a mixture of both the capitalist and the socialist economy. And so this resolution basically helped us to see that both the public and the private sector should have the leading role in the economic progress. So I would personally say that this was the main outset of great economic changes. So moving on, we had Dr. Manmohan Singh in 1991. He was like one of the best finance ministers we ever had. So, sir, in 1991, the reforms made by Dr. Manmohan Singh basically had the aim to change our economy and to basically lift our people out of poverty. And through the stats, we see that since in the 1991, we have seen millions of people come out of poverty. And we saw our economy to be catapulted in a $3 billion economy. Now, I would say this is rather a very big amount for a country which has just found its independence. Also, Dr. Manmohan Singh took two major decisions which had a great impact on our economy. The first one was that the rupee was devalued twice. With its devalued rupee, our exports became cheaper and the trade increased. So, both of these reforms were very much important for our country. And with the introduction of the industrial policy of 1991, deep structural reforms were also made, which basically ended the monopoly of state-owned companies, which ended the capitalism in our society. We also see that our India, our country, have always had this aim to achieve, basically to achieve the food security. So it's like that our country used to receive food aid in 1950s and 1960s. And now if we look at the position, so we are basically the net exporter of so many fruits, vegetables, rice and wheat. And also we are the leader in milk production. We used to receive food in the 1950s and 1960s, and now look at us. The rate of food production has tripled since independence. Also, moving on, we had seen a tenfold increase in the GDP. India is now the sixth largest economy in the world, and it's, as always, on its way to becoming the third largest of by 2031, as per the Banks of America. We see so many structural reforms too, and our infrastructure has also increased since 1947. Railways and roadways has expanded exponentially in the last 75 years. In 1950s, as per the government figures, India only had zero point 0.4 million kilometers of roadways, which has now grown to 6.4 million kilometer. Also, India's road network is now the second largest in the world. Moving on, so we see the process of liberalization. This process began in the mid 1980s to make Indian economy more open to trade and external flows, but it gained pace in the 1990s. This objective was to improve the efficiency of Indian economy through the reduction in trade barriers such as the import tariffs. Today, India has developed a significant footprint in the global economy. Moreover, India has emerged as the top exporter of IT services too. So I would say that these all the development, these all the changes, they have basically saved India from breaking in the near stagnation. And right now, our country stands to be one of the most stable countries in the world. So I'd rather say that these all the changes, these all the growth, these all the developments, they mark a significant role. So I would say India has grown so much since 1947. Thank you.
Oh boy, some interesting information for me as well. I'm sure our audience is enjoying this because the kind of facts that you guys are bringing, the kind of information that you guys are bringing is really amazing. And to my audience, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the students of NWS, like all other talking diaries, they do their own research. We just tell them that we will meet on this day and we'll talk about something, and then we just give the topic. This is the topic we want to talk about. Sometimes, the moderator, like what I'm doing today, we just share our concerns that we feel that this thing is not going right or this thing is not going bad. Please do your research, come back with the content, and then everything has been done by the students without the interference of teachers or staff. So आई थिंक अनन्या, आपने जो एजुकेशन की बात की थी वो भी यहाँ पे प्रूव होता है कि यस वी हैव ग्रोन बिकॉज वी हैव ए वन एग्जांपल right here in front of us. The way you guys have done your research, the way you guys are coming up with amazing information, और शायद मैं भी ढूंढने बैठता, पता नहीं इतनी डेप्थ तक इंफॉर्मेशन निकाल पाता कि नहीं. So kudos to you guys. आप लोगों की बातों से मुझे इतना तो समझ आ गया कि हम लोगों ने यहाँ पर जो भी किया है इंडिपेंडेंस से लेके अब तक, it has been amazing. India is on its way to progress and yes, there is no upper limit. हम लोग आगे बढ़ते चले जाएंगे. We will keep improving, we will keep growing. One more important aspect is how safe we are. Internally, yes, our economy can get stronger, our education, our health system, food security, everything we have covered, all this is strong. Law and order is another aspect. I'm sure when we have well-educated, well-read people, they all have good jobs, crime rate will automatically come down. But are we also safe on our borders? So Dhanya has done some research on the defense of India, how safe we are. So Dhanya, I'm moving to you. Why don't you share with us what you have done your research on?
Sir, I will be glad to share the information about how we have improved in our defense. As we know, after independence in the Indo-Pakistan War of 1965, Dr. Bhabha designed explosives by which America's so-called indestructible pattern tanks were shattered into pieces. We used to take rifles from America, and so America had all controls over our rifles and used to give us old rifles. But Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru thought further and urged that we should make our own rifles. Then, with research and development, we made our first rifles called insas. And not only this, now we are at our homes in a comfort, getting hot and fresh food. But have you thought, what about the soldiers at high altitude in places like Siachen in Ladakh? But we also have a solution for this. DFRL in Mysore had made reusable food warmer pouches that guarantee fresh and hygienic food. From India's first rocket being brought on a cycle and then being launched from an old church to completing the Mars mission, in which in the budget we cannot get an auto rickshaw for per kilometer. India is also able to launch PSLV and GSLV. The PSLV and GSLV contains cryogenic engine, which has unique design and has great challenges. Its fuel is in liquid state and stored at minus 200, approx minus 200 degrees Celsius. To store these liquids at minus 200 degrees Celsius was a great challenge, but we have overcome it. Also, there are many kinds of nations. First, who are able to make their own spacecraft and launch it. Second are who are not able to make it, but they are able to launch it. And another is who are able to make it but not able to launch it. We can proudly say that India is able to launch plus manufacture its own spacecrafts. By the way, we have talked about many industries till now: healthcare, education, and economic industries, plus this defense industry also. But there's one more industry which has developed a lot. That's, yes, that's the Bollywood industry, the Indian film industry. It's the largest film industry and most popular. The largest film and most popular industry in India is the Hindi film industry, followed by Telugu cinema and Tamil cinema. The cinema of India comprises film produced in India, where more than 1800 movies are annually produced. Thank you.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, defense and Bollywood coming both together. Yeah, I forgot to ask question about Bollywood. That is also an important aspect of development and progress in India that we have done. We have developed the largest film industry in the world, which is not a joke actually. Yeah. Combined with now the Bollywood, we call it Bollywood, but no, we are not just limited to Bollywood. We have Jollywood and Tollywood and a lot of other such names have come up. Local cinema is also catching up at such a rapid speed, which is good. Uh, Defense, definitely, the way we have progressed, the way we have started developing our own equipment, our tanks, our battle machinery, be it Navy, Air Force, Army, we are all getting homegrown stuff, which is a big mark when we talk about development of a country. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, we are coming towards the end. We've discussed how India has progressed since independence, what all we did, be it the field of education, be it the field of healthcare, how our economic growth happened, and how the defense aspect of it. And thanks to Dhanya, she was able to bring in a surprise element of Bollywood as well. India has definitely progressed, and what gives me more relief is to know that we have not stopped here and we are not getting into decline. We are still on the graph. If you plot the graph, we are still on in the upward direction. We are growing. We are growing each day, and our unity and diversity is also giving us a lot of benefit. And my wish at this stage is that may India keep progressing like this. With
We
this,
have with us Anirudh Sharma, who is going to talk about the development in the IT sector that India has done since independence. Anirudh, over to you.
In recent years, India has undergone major developmental changes such that it has emerged as a vital contributor in the IT sector. Many of today's leading IT professionals, be it Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella, or Azim Premji, have emerged from India. The establishment of the very first IT services industry, the TCS, took place in 1967. The first software export zone was established in Mumbai in 1973. Despite these early steps, it has got the major boost in the last 2 decades. Government policies have played a crucial role in the shaping of IT sector in India. A number of provincial governments offer IT companies additional incentives linked to research and development. For example, the Andhra Pradesh government, as a part of its IT policy from 2005 to 2010, offered free space for 5 years to companies engaged in high-end R&D, together with requisite software tools. STPI, under the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology, provides incubation facilities in each of its centers spread across the country, with plug-and-play facilities and shared services support. A number of provincial governments also support training and development initiatives with a focus on meeting manpower requirements for the IT sector. For example, the Karnataka government has more than 220 training sectors all over the state with curriculum focusing on different levels and types of IT and BPO skills. This sector contributes to a major portion in India's GDP, and India is the largest exporter in the IT sector. It was also the leading sourcing destination globally, accounting for approximately 55% market share that amounts to 200 to 250 billion US dollars. It is also safe to call India an important source of productivity in the IT sector. Startups have become a trend everywhere, and we have seen many rising startups lately in India. Some examples are Grow, Dream 11, Cred, Digit Insurance, etc., many of which are powered by information technology. In a nutshell, the IT sector is and will continue to be a major decider in India's position as a modern and self reliant nation globally. Thank you.
Thank you, Anirudh. That was really enlightening. India has definitely done amazing progress in the field of information technology. That's our digital infrastructure, online infrastructure, but not just online. We have also done a lot of work in the field of, offline. These days, anyways, we are talking in the terms of online and offline. So when it comes to offline, we have done a lot of work, and for that, I have next with me Vaibhav Gupta, who is going to tell us about the road network of India. Now let's understand, road network plays a very important role in the development of the country because road, rail, mail, modes of transportation, modes of communication, they actually strengthen the country. They are the backbone of the country. And with the road network, we not only strengthen our transportation, but more importantly, our trade, which actually takes the country beyond a certain limit. So I'll invite Vaibhav to talk about the development in the road network of India. Vaibhav, over to you.
India has the second largest road network in the world, about 5.89 million kilometers. The road network transports 64.5% of all goods in the country and the 90% of all Indian total passenger traffic use network for travel. Road transport has gradually increased over the years, with improvement in connectivity between cities, towns, villages in the country. There are some projects from development of the roadways in India. Under Bharatmala Pariyojana, the ministry has approved implementation of about 348,000 kilometers of national highway in 5 years, which is about $75 billion project. In Mizoram, Myanmar, road project has been launched under Special Accelerated Road Development Program Northeast. The distance between the Delhi minute has been reduced in today's days from is about 2 hours from 4 to 5 hours. In today's time, our road network is of international level in highly developed cities like Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, etc. But in rural areas, the condition of the roads are poor. But in the coming years, the government would make them good. At last, I would say that India has done a marvelous job in the field of roadways and will be continuing in the future also.
Thank you, Vaibhav, for giving us this insight. Um, we have Aaradhya with us. So we have Aaradhya with us who is going to talk about the sports development in the sports sector since independence. So Aradhya, why don't you come and share what you have found?
So we recently got this news. India won a gold medal in Olympics after 13 years. This year, India had its best ever performance in Olympics by getting 7 medals in total. Right now in cricket, India has had all the 3 trophies, namely ODI World Cup, T20 World Cup and the Champions Trophy. Also, in the under 19 cricket, there has been 13 World Cups till now and India has grabbed 5 of them. Who could say it is the same country who went through a bloody and brutal partition in 1947? Who could say it is the same country who went through a 200-year brutal invasion? Well, it was possible because it is India. India is incredible. India is impossible. This all did not happen overnight. So that's why we are going to talk about this development of sports India had since independence. Let's talk about the first step after independence India took to become a sports giant. That was aiming to bring a gold medal in 1948 London Olympics. Like, it's really strange to think about a medal for a country just after a year of a partition. We can actually imagine the situation at that time when the hockey team was split into pieces due to the partition and many important players of the team went to the other side of the country. There were problems, there were many limitations, but there was a solution, and came and another Tata who contributed for the soil of this country. This was Naval Tata, the then IHF Indian Hockey Federation chief. He went in different parts of the countries to assemble a new but a formidable team who fought in the 1948 London Olympics and bragged a gold medal. An important fact is that all the expenses to send them to London through flight was sponsored himself by Naval Tata, as they were going to be transported through ships, and that could be really exhausting for it, and for their convenience he provided the support to them. After that 1951 Asian Games, the sequence just went on, and in that India won 15 gold medals and ranked second in the whole Asian Games. 1952, the famous KD Jadhav brings the first medal India ever got in wrestling. That was a bronze medal, and we could really imagine that situation that that man wrestled in sand since his childhood, and he soon changed into mat and brought a bronze medal in it, internationally representing and making our country proud. 1958, Milkha Singh brings the first ever gold medal for an athletic, that was in Commonwealth Games. 1983 Cricket World Cup, the famous Cricket World Cup, which under the captaincy of Kapil Dev, our Indian cricket team won the first ever World Cup. India became only the second team after West Indies to win a Cricket World Cup. My father says at that time Indian cricket team's level was equal to today's Zimbabwe's cricket team level. So yeah, taking the example of India of 1983, we can say that even Zimbabwe can win the Cricket World Cup. Ramanand Krishan, P.T. Usha, Prakash Padukone, Vishwanath Anand, Abhinav Bindra. We have numerous examples, and we are gonna get more than these examples in the future. And all the credit goes to these all gentlemen from whom they all are gonna inspire. The main difference we see is the approach towards sports that has been changed for the Indian people. I could say, especially Indian parents. We can have a comparative analysis of a child asking their parents to make them join a cricket academy or a football academy or a basketball academy in 1980s and today in 2022. It is a major difference. Then it was considered that sports is just for enjoyment and we cannot make a career out of it. But right now, it is really possible. We parents could see that inspirations can be took from these all sports persons who work day and night, use their talent and change that into their profession. So the approach of Indian parents has changed, and today no reason has left for them to deny their children to join sports and make it as their profession. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aradhya. That was really insightful. And yes, we have done great progress in the field of sports also. And like you said, it's not easy to just uh, switch when half of your team is gone, or maybe more than half of is suddenly gone, and you have to form a new team. And yet, you are able to, create a mark at the international level. So, kudos. Thank you for sharing this.
Yes. With this, I would like to say thank you to all my participants who have done brilliant research, brought such amazing information for our knowledge, and thanks to all those who are watching this video. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.